Okay, so let's get into these answers. Kicking is so frustrating. Not only does it hurt, but it's kind of like one of those bigger outbursts that can be a little bit embarrassing for us as parents and really frustrating when we can't seem to figure out why this keeps happening. And I just wanted to also share that I talked a little bit more with these parents, and they've tried a lot of the traditional approaches. They have talked to her about how it's really upsetting and it hurts them. They have tried to ignore the behavior so they don't give it too much weight. They've also tried to threaten taking toys away. They've tried to approach it calmly, and it just doesn't seem like anything is connecting and sending the message that this isn't appropriate behavior. I also want to just kind of give some developmental context is that this child is 5, and right now what they are experiencing is when they have an external stimuli that doesn't feel good in their body, they're reacting and it's coming out as kicks. So right now, this child doesn't have the skills in place, the nervous system reactive skills in order to reject the impulse to kick. So here is my advice. I have about a 3-part advice. Number 1, just to remember as parents that all behavior is goal directed. So your daughter is trying to communicate something with you, and she just doesn't have the language skills right now in order to communicate it more effectively, more efficiently, more maturely. And so right now, when something upsets her, she's going to kick. Instead of looking at the behavior as this is, like, instead of looking only at that, try to get some detective work going and try to see maybe what the unmet need is underneath this behavior. Okay, number 2, and this is something we all do as parents. So I think giving our children a little bit more grace and understanding, like, oh yeah, I do that too. It's like when we feel like what we're trying to communicate isn't being understood by the person we're talking to, we tend to just get louder and more aggressive. Like, think about it when you're in a conflict with your spouse or your partner, and if you don't feel like they're hearing you, it's just like you just yell. You're like, clearly they don't get it. I'm just going to have to be louder. And so this might be what your daughter is doing. She might not feel like what she is experiencing is being validated or being understood or fully seen. And so she feels like she has to get louder, i.e. kick, in order for her parents to hear what is going on for her. And number 3 is to match your children's aggression with the same potent energy, not the same aggression. So you've heard, like, if your child bites you, bite them back. That's not what I'm saying. Don't kick your daughter back. What I am saying is witness, see, really transmute the fact that, oh my gosh, I see this energy. I can see you are so frustrated. Oh my gosh, I see this big energy in your legs. You really want to get it out. You want to get it out with kicks, and that's okay. Let's do it safely over here. I will not let you hurt somebody's body, but I will let you do this over here. So let's go together. You can kick this pillow. You can kick this tree. You can kick whatever you have. And that is a much safer way to kind of give her an alternative to get that aggression and the anger out safely. And she feels like you really saw what was going on within her and were able to not only validate it, but give her a safe alternative to purge that energy. Okay, on to homework battles. I really resonate with this mom because I too have a 6-year-old and I too struggle with homework quite a lot with my child. So this one's a 4-parter. Number 1, what is coming up for you in the moment? I know for me personally, I was really meticulous with my homework and I took a lot of pride in getting good grades and turning my homework in on time. And so when my child is kind of complacent about homework, it kind of bubbles up within me, that like pressure, that need to show my goodness as a parent through my child performing in homework the same way that I found a lot of value in myself. So I'm trying to let go of that part of me. And if my child doesn't complete his homework and he, turns it in half done or incomplete, then letting that natural consequence be the teacher versus us losing connection in battling over making sure it's done and to myself. Number 2, getting really curious about what it is for your daughter, what doesn't feel good about homework for your daughter, and maybe digging a little bit deeper there so you have more of a root understanding. So is the volume overwhelming? Is she struggling with a certain thing and just is embarrassed about it? Is it too hard? Was there a moment in class where somebody, said something to her and that embarrassment and shame is kind of spilling through and she just doesn't want to touch it? Maybe doing a little bit more homework, doing some detective work, asking her these questions to find out what could be truer for her, what could be really percolating under the surface for her versus I just don't want to do homework. Number 3, this parent mentioned that they do like a 30-minute decompression time after school, and it just doesn't seem to be helping. And I would agree with this because 30 minutes just is like the kids are just starting to decompress and it evaporates so quickly that they might just get more frustrated than feel like they're being forced to jump back into homework. So I might suggest doing homework before you even leave campus, like sitting down at a bench and banging out your homework before you even get in the car to head home. We do this thing in the house, we call it Eat That Frog, and it's based off a book where you do like the most annoying thing that's on your to-do list first so that you don't have it weighing on you anymore. So we try to make it playful where we're like, we're going to eat that frog. And we try to do like the hardest one first so that we're not putting it off. And I would also say with the store and the little tickets that you were offering, that only helps for so long because they're just going to get so used to the fact that there's a reward that comes after homework. And over time, it probably works in the short term, but over time, it's not going to be as motivating because it's not as exciting anymore because it's expected. And so you really want to foster, the under the surface reasons for why they ultimately want to do their homework. And the last one, number 4, is how can you incorporate movement into homework? So maybe as you're reading the instructions, she's dancing or doing jumping jacks, or maybe you have like a bouncy ball seat that she can do the homework on, because it sounds like there's movement reasons on why she needs to get up, to have a snack, to get distracted. And so how can we incorporate a playful movement into this so learning is more fun, and you maybe have like a little space in the house that is devoted to movement and devoted to homework, and it becomes less of a battle and more fun. This is very similar and goes back to the first one. This is kind of how your child is trying to communicate that something doesn't feel right for them. They are experiencing an external stimulus. Their nervous system is telling them that this doesn't feel right. And the only languaging skills they have at such a young age that it's not mature, it's not effective, but for them, they're trying to communicate, this doesn't feel right for me. I don't like this. And so it's up to us to get really curious about what's going on and not seeing the behavior and the symptom as this is my child, but as evidence and proof and data that something isn't going well for them. And we get to get really curious to try to figure out what that is. And also matching their aggression with the same level of energy, not the same aggression. So we're not growling and hissing back at them. We're matching that energy saying, I see you. Wow, you are so frustrated with what's going on. And then getting curious so that we're able to meet the need before the behavior arises.